Viewers, start your engines. It's been a while since I've been in the driver's seat for a good old-fashioned racing review, so buckle up because it might be a bumpy ride as we take on Victory Heat Rally, a 2.5D arcade racer published by Playtonic. But is Victory Heat Rally arriving triumphantly in Victory Lane, or does this one crash and burn on its first lap? There's only one way to find out, and that's playing the damn thing. But before I get into my feelings about Victory Heat Rally, please take a moment to like and subscribe so you don't miss the review of your next favorite indie game. And while you're at it, check us out over at patreon.com/idreamofindiegames for early and ad-free content, Discord access, and even the chance to get your name featured at the end of every single video. Your indie gaming community is waiting for you. With all of the formalities out of the way, it's off to the races at Victory Heat Rally. So what sets this racer apart from the pack? Well, I guess I'm still trying to figure that out. This game relies heavily on the assumption that you have some nostalgia for the days of pixel art graphics, arcadey racing mechanics, power sliding, and cartoony rivalries. There's not much story to speak of other than that you are a new racer on the block, a rookie trying to prove themselves, and that's about it. The primary focus of the single-player experience is the championship mode, where you get a brief rundown from the aptly named Sally McRally of the different race tours, each more challenging than the last, and an exclusive interview with your first few racers, Chrissy, Clyde, and Lana. Once you've been debriefed, you can select one of the three racers and begin your journey.
Medium winding right. Easy right.
Each driver has different stat levels for power, weight, speed, acceleration, and handling, which can be helped or hindered by the tires and springs you select for your vehicle. After compiling a nice, well-rounded racer that suits your style, you're dropped off into the tutorial with Chief. Unfortunately, the tutorial is not exactly what I would call hands-on, as all you do is watch a replay of someone else driving, and you never really actually get a chance to practice the mechanics until you're in the race. Further adding to my confusion, the game tells you what to do as far as accelerating, braking, and drifting, but never actually tells you what inputs to use to accomplish that. So basically, I started my first race blind. As a learn-by-doing kind of gal, I wish the tutorial was replaced by a screen that showed you the controls all mapped out. I feel like that would have been more effective. There is an overworld map of sorts where you'll navigate from track to track through the various circuits, with some side objectives where you'll have to complete other missions like hitting or avoiding obstacles, passing a certain number of cars within a specified time frame, or driving through a set number of goalposts. Pretty much all the standards of the genre. There are also Grand Prix mixed in where you compete for a trophy by racing against a rival, which you can eventually unlock by besting them in a one-on-one race at the end. As you win races with each of the selectable racers, you can unlock new paint jobs for their cars, though I would have definitely preferred to have other customization options to unlock as well. When it comes to the races themselves, they begin quite easy for anyone with the slightest bit of arcade racing experience, but do ramp up in difficulty as you progress through the more challenging groups. For the first few tracks though, I definitely wondered if I selected an easy difficulty level by accident, but this game mode really doesn't have any settings or options to speak of. The first thing I noticed about these races, however, is just how short they feel, which won't so much be a concern of yours at the beginning of the game, but as you progress through the more challenging circuits, you'll find it can almost be impossible to catch up with the first place racer if you even so much as make a single mistake. There just physically is not enough time to catch up. Some tracks are as short as a minute long, with some of the challenge levels taking even less than a minute to complete in full. Don't get me wrong, some tracks are a bit longer, but the shorter levels are notably abrupt. Alright, I've harped on the challenge mode enough, and there are still a few other modes of gameplay to cover, but they all kind of retread the same basic tracks. Arcade GP is just a shortcut to playing through the Grand Prix events from the single-player championship mode, good for practice, and that's about it. Same goes for the time attack mode if we're being honest. You can play for your best time and then race against a ghost should you want to push yourself to your limits. Last but certainly not least, there is the versus mode where you can play with up to 3 local friends in a split screen display. There is definitely some retro charm to playing this way and some decent options to choose from where you can crank the difficulty of the CPU racers up or down or remove them entirely, choose how many races you'd like to compete, and even choose the time of day for the track. And that's really all there is to Victory Heat Rally. Championship mode is clearly the star of the show, which is entirely too easy until it becomes a steep challenge. Tracks are mostly quite short, but it is a competent, albeit a bit generic, arcade racer. I do find the graphics to be quite charming in their imperfect, pixelated retro way. The way this game looks definitely harkens me back to the arcade racers of my childhood, but the issue with that is that because of these parallels, it draws comparisons, and I'm not sure if that's for the best. A lot of the tracks feel very samey and lacked the variety that I craved. I did particularly enjoy the menu and save screens, which are such a pleasant blast from the past with their word art text and bright, cheerful color palettes. The cars themselves do look playfully silly in all of their 2.5D glory, and I was a big fan of the character portrait art style, but that's kind of where my enjoyment for the graphics ended. There were some straight up goofy animations of cars clearly not making jumps only to seemingly be teleported onto the ramp they clearly missed, or boosting over the ledge only to make it back onto the track completely unscathed. You can also drive through some rocks, poles, and buildings without taking any damage or stopping at all, but only sometimes, because other times you will in fact fall off of the track or go out of bounds, which results in your car exploding. Even when this happens though, you're returned to the track so quickly, it's like nothing happened at all. This applies to both you and your opponents, so I'll let you decide for yourself whether you find this helpful or a hindrance. The music is fun and upbeat, definitely keeping with the retro racer theme, with some vague vocalizations that repeat the same one-liner over and over again. They sound like any generic arena rock anthem, which I do believe is the point, so in this regard, they definitely succeed. It's not a bad sound design by any means, I just wish there was a bit more variety to the soundtrack, and I could have done without the incredibly repetitive sound of my car's boost meter, which is particularly noticeable in multiplayer when you have several cars boosting at once. Yes, you can turn down the effects in the options menu, and you very well may want to do so. As an entire product, I do appreciate what Victory Heat Rally is aiming to do. It's made for folks who love arcade racers of old and long for some new tracks to run in this same genre. If that's all you're looking for, then I'm sure you will find at least something to enjoy in Victory Heat Rally. The art is charming and gives me those warm, nostalgic feelings, and the music does an effective job of pumping you up. Hell, I can imagine this might actually be a blast to play with 3 local friends on a large split screen like a projector for a fun game night. However, I do believe there are a few points where Victory Heat Rally needs to be sent back to the drawing board. We need either a playable tutorial or at least the inputs shown on screen during the tutorials. I do not want to watch an entire replay of someone else's run. This just isn't the way I or a lot of folks I know learn. I could use a bit more variety and imagination to the tracks and a bit longer run times for some of the races as well. While I do enjoy the art in general, some of the animations and vehicles straight up driving through objects and teleporting onto ramps is just a bit jarring. Here at I Dream of Indie, we have a lamp tiering system with bronze, silver, and gold lamps representing good, great, and exceptional games respectively. We also have a rusty lamp for games with a glimmer of promise, as well well as the dreaded Indy Krampus for games that need a little more time in the Indy oven. When it comes to Victory Heat Rally, I am awarding this title the Bronze Genie Lamp of Approval. It's a bit tarnished, but there is something here I think race fans will enjoy in small doses or with friends.